Hello everyone, Elite Gunman here. In today's video, I will be analyzing Skibidi Plushverse Episode 2. This is another crazy episode. But before we get into it, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future analysis videos. Let's go. The episode starts with a cameraman walking in front of POV. It looks like POV is a large cameraman because the cameraman in front of him is shorter than him. They begin walking and POV turns to the right and sees a dead cameraman, a car, and a toilet. There must have been a pretty bad fight here for both the cameraman and Skibidi toilet to have died. The dead cameraman is holding a gun and the POV large cameraman's little friend grabs the gun from the dead cameraman. POV zooms into the cameraman and they start walking away, but you can hear the large speaker from the last episode using his TV, which could mean that these episodes take place at the same time, but we don't know for sure. Then a jetpack toilet flies after them and the POV's friend pulls his gun out and tries to get a clear shot. The cameraman shoots the toilet and it flies faster at them. POV kicks his friend out of the way, but the toilet got shot with an explosive. POV zooms into the toilet and turns to the right and sees another large cameraman. And he is holding a rocket launcher, which means he is the one who shot the jetpack toilet. There is more audio from the previous episode, so I believe that these episodes are happening at the same time. The rocket large cameraman shakes his head and POV turns around and sees his friend looking sad. POV tells his friend to get up. Cameraman gets up and pulls his gun out and shakes his head. POV turns around again and looks a rocket large cameraman. Then a bomb got dropped near them. POV sees his friend laying in the ground and looks over at the bomber toilet. Bomber Skibidi dropped 2 more bombs and POV looked back at his friends. Rocket cameraman helps cameraman up. Rocket cameraman walks over to his rocket launcher he put on the ground because he was helping the cameraman up. And he shoots his rocket at the bomber, and we see the large speaker man get destroyed again. But we can see that the Skibidi mutant got launched back, and the large rocket cameraman must have missed because the bomber is still alive, and we can see the POV from episode 1 look at the gunman, walk up to him, and he shoots the bomber Skibidi, and he explodes and comes crashing down. POV and his friends start running, and the cameraman tripped. Like, really, bruh? Both large cameramen look at the cameraman, and the bomber Skibidi hits the ground and explodes. The POV's camera glitches because of the impact, and the other cameramen cameras must have did the same thing. But the large cameramen were not scared when the bomber hit the ground, and large rocket cameraman looks at the bomber, Skibidi. POV turns around and sees the bomber toilet burning. He looks back at his friends and we can see that the Skibidi mutant survived and is crawling away. And the cameraman looks sad because he tripped in front of his friends, but rocket camera walks over to help him up again. And then there is an explosion, and we can hear footsteps, and then we can hear Skibidi as he jumps at the cameraman. We can also hear the mutant screaming. Rocket cameraman pulls his rocket out, and before he can shoot, POV stands in his way and shakes his head no. Probably because if he shot his rocket, it would blow them all up. Or maybe he was just embarrassed that the cameraman tripped when they were running, but probably not. So rocket cameraman put his rocket launcher away. POV looked back at his friend. The cameraman is trying to push the mutant away, but the mutant rips his head off, and before the cameraman died, he kicked his gun over to POV. POV went to pick it up and saw the mutant was going to rip large rocket cameraman's head off, but before he could, POV shot him with the gun he picked up from the cameraman. Rocket cameraman stood up and looked at POV. Oh my gosh, the mutant is still alive, and he jump scared. The POV. The mutant was just screaming in POV's face, but he was not trying to rip his head off like everyone else, and rocket cameraman grabbed him and threw him to the ground, but the mutant hit him back with his back and grabbed his camera and is ripping it off. POV is probably out of ammo in his gun, and he looks over to the left and he sees a gunman walking over to them and he shoots the mutant and kills it. POV zooms into the mutant's face and looks at his friend, rocket large cameraman, and he is looking at the gunman. POV walks over to the cameraman that got destroyed. He falls on his knees and stares at him. Then he looks to the left and he is looking at the gunman, and the gunman is staring at him and he's shaking his head. The episode ends there. Make sure to like and subscribe to Crazy Koopaling Bros.